Welcome, everybody, to yet another podcast. We've got some great topics for you today. As always, joined by Dashing, Mr. Dashing Dot, the man, the myth, the legend behind skills and things like that. But we do have also a special guest with us. I'm not sure how this is arranged, but Finest XI. Is it XI or is it 11?
XI. Yeah.
It's XI.
If people say finest 11, I'm like, cool. That's not like what I prefer to go by, but that works because you understand Roman numerals.
I actually was asking Sneaky that question if it's Roman numbers or if
it is. Yeah. Most people assume it's XL. They say finest XL, and I think that just has to do with
extra
the
large
font for Twitch chat. Well, the font in Twitch chat makes the L look like an well, it makes the I look like an L. And so people say XL a lot. But yeah, it's not XL. XI for sure. Yeah.
No, but it's good to have you here. So
good to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you start with Twitch and just content creation in general? I don't know. Maybe you did play Tarkov before. I don't know. Before you started streaming, or did you? I don't know. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
The TLDR version, because there's a lot to this, but essentially back in 2017, I was going to a trade school for audio engineering, and in that trade school they had kind of like class conferences every Wednesday where we all had to get together for a group kind of class session. And they had the option to go up to the school to do that, or for people that live too far away from the school, you could do it. You could attend virtually, and they actually did it through Twitch, which, looking back on it now, was probably a terrible idea because like anyone could have walked in there and just started capping everybody, and I would have no idea what was going on. But so we got onto Twitch, and this was my first experience with this, and I've been gaming since I was like 4. Yet I never knew about Twitch until 2017 when I was going to school, and they just happened to use Twitch for the video conferences. So I found it, and then I think one day after class, I was just like, what is this website? And so I started browsing around. I found a PUBG streamer I like. I went to PUBG, found a streamer, started watching him, and I'm like, wait, this is really cool. And then like not long after, probably a week, I was like, I want to try this. Yeah, this seems fun. Like I could do this. And so I think we started, the first stream was December 28th, 2017. And I think I was playing, it was either PUBG or Rainbow Six or Hand Simulator. Well, that came shortly after.
Very good.
Yeah, I had I was like, wait, if I play a game that is small, I'll have an easier time being found. And so I tried Hand Simulator.
That is actually next level smart for someone who just started out, because a lot of people need a long time to figure that one.
Well, Hand Simulator had a total of like 10 viewers ever. So I think I went too small there. But it was still fun. I spent a lot of time learning how to be a content creator properly. I'd say probably too long. I think I take a little longer than most people to get the hang of things.
But you never stop learning being a content creator, in my opinion. True. Very true.
Always evolve, yeah.
So, you know, we started like 2017, end of 2017, I started playing PUBG, Hand Sim, Rainbow Six, stuff like that. We progressed on. I had a buddy who was like, dude, you should check out this game called Fortnite. And I'm like, I'm like, okay. I'd never heard anything about it. I was like, all right, it's a battle royale like PUBG. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And this was like Fortnite season 2 when he was suggesting this. And so I won't bore you guys with the details, but got into Fortnite. And actually through Fortnite, after playing that for several months, I found a couple of community members, and one of them actually introduced me to Tarkov, oddly enough.
When
so
was
through
that?
Fortnite, this was 2018, like mid-year, I think is when I started playing Tarkov, because this community member gifted me a standard edition because he wanted to see me play it, and I was like, okay, this game seems fun. Like, it's kind of everything I'm into, and it's one life kind of thing. Where I used to play a lot of COD, Search and Destroy, like Modern Warfare 1 and 2. I was really big into Search and Destroy, so anything that had the whole like one life aspect and just every decision matters, I was like into. So that's how Tarkov kind of seemed like the perfect game for me. And then yeah, we started playing Tarkov mid 2018, and at some point, maybe 6 months into Tarkov, I actually stopped playing it because I was fed up with it.
Ah, okay. The burnout. Yes.
And so then I went to Overwatch, and I had never played Overwatch, and I started playing it, and I loved it a lot, and that probably lasted about 2 months. And then I had this period where I was like, I don't know what I want to play, so I think I just kind of hopped around between a bunch of weird, out of the ordinary games, and then finally I came back to Tarkov, and I guess I developed this ability to be able to play Tarkov consistently without letting it get to me too hard.
Yeah.
And I figured that was necessary if I wanted to be a Tarkov streamer, because this game is really stressful and it can drain you. But so far I've been playing it, I think probably about a year, a little over a year since I came back, and I haven't stopped playing it. And I have no desire to stop yet. I'm still enjoying it every day for the most part. I was a little shaky at the beginning of this last wipe, just because I really wasn't even ready for the wipe, especially if we didn't get new content. That was just me personally. I wasn't like excited to start over without anything new.
Yeah.
But I'm back to being pretty excited to playing it again. And so that's kind of the brief history, the TLDR of me and Twitch and how we got here.
That's nice. Cool. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? You bring up some very, very good points in general. I mean, you know what? I don't think there's actually a lot of people like you at the moment. So I just wasn't as excited for this wipe. I don't think, like, I think a lot of older, like, more, I don't know. A lot of the older crowd that played Tarkov like back when it first hit, I think right now we're getting kind of bored because it's the same thing. Essentially, it's the same thing, with the addition of certain things, and they've kind of moved things around. As if you imagine if it being like a chessboard or like a Lego set, and they've just kind of, they're just moving bits around here and there. You know what? In continuation, though, I can definitely say that I envy you somewhat because of the fact that you are enjoying it, and I'm still enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. I'm still very much enjoying it. I still come back every day. I don't play off stream anymore. Barely ever.
I've never did.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I used to play off stream a little bit here and there, just primarily to kind of like progress and stuff, and maybe get some like money together or something. Whatever.
I feel you at some point it's just, to me, when I start out in a wipe, I do a lot of progression off stream, because a lot of the things I do are just utterly boring to watch.
Right.
So when I farmed the jackets on Shoreline for keys, I bloody nade myself. I'm done. I'm nading myself. Get to the next raid. That's not something I think people would enjoy watching. But it enables me to progress in a wipe really fast, to get to 40 really fast, to get money really fast. And I get that people might be interested in that, but they don't want to watch me 10 hours doing that for 10 hours the first day, right? So I play it off stream a lot. But I have played it since January 2018, almost every day. And then there are days, and that's why I love being off stream. I can just play Teamfight Tactics or whatever,
Wait, do you play Teamfight Tactics?
Oh yeah, I can't play Tarkov all bloody day, and I love TFT.
Well, I love TFT.
Yeah.
I thought you were joking. No,
I'm on my way to Diamond right now again.
I hit Diamond last set.
Oh,
and I'm trying to get back.
Yeah.
Okay,
we should definitely play.
Great. We should play sometime. But continue.
There you go.
Right.
But so I think because Finest already said it earlier with the with he played COD. I don't know. I think I played one COD. The one before this actual one came out, like with the zombie mode. I don't know. I've never played COD before, and I just got that when I think it was the first one where Blizzard put it into the launch of under Activision in the launcher.
Might have been one of the Black Opses.
Yeah.
E4 or 3.
I don't know. I didn't.
a lot of them.
I didn't enjoy it, to be honest.
Right.
But today's topic, Sneaky. I think that's something we should also just quickly mention. Talking about
Sure.
Tarkov playstyle perception.
Yeah. So, at the moment, and I mean, it's been a thing since pretty much the beginning. But I think the outset and the kind of like the mindset of people going in before, like at the beginning when the game was first coming out, I think the people's mindset was definitely more towards Tarkov being a survival game, and more of like I guess like a hardcore. I mean, is it really a survival game? It's definitely not anymore. It is more of a hardcore shooter than it is a survival game. But I don't know. It might be just a misconception, I guess. Maybe it's my misconception, but I think a lot of people were. I think a lot of people had this perception of Tarkov primarily being a survival game, essentially, where you have to progress and you have to collect certain things in order to survive whatever it is, whether it be food or stuff for your hideout, whatever that is, right? So. It is a lot of collecting, it is a lot of accumulating resources before this used to equate to just raw money form in your stash, and that is that essentially. That was the progress. Aside the skills, aside anything else that didn't really, I mean, sure, it has an impact, a very significant impact on your gameplay and what you do, but it was mainly just raw money form that was, in your stash that you could then use to buy whatever items you needed to go into the next raid and do whatever you wanted to. So the fundamental question here is, if it is a survival game, why do we have so many guns and attachments for those guns? It is not really a survival game anymore. Definitely not. And I think the transitional period, was there even really ever a transitional period? I don't think so, because it's always more or less, people used to play a lot slower. Sure, they did used to play a lot slower. I think that play styles have evolved quite a lot since, in 2000, what is it, 17, 16, something, I think it was 2016 end of, they came out of closed alpha and into open beta. So, again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. But nonetheless, there was, I think, some perception of this being more survival orientated rather than, shooting or run and gun or that, like almost Call of Duty style.
But I think BSG always said the game's heavily focusing on guns and attachments and the way you can mod them, and I think that was always one of them their selling points for this game, that this is going to be so detailed about this.
Yeah.
I think
don't know. Go on.
Oh, I don't know if I ever, coming from the battle royale scene, I don't know if I ever thought about it as a survival game. I also didn't play anything like DayZ or any other survival games prior to Tarkov. So coming into Tarkov from like a battle royale perspective, I knew I had to survive, but I think I focused more on, I guess I thought of it more as a shooter than survival.
The gunplay aspects, yeah.
Yeah. Like there was the aspect of surviving a raid, but I never thought of it as like a DayZ kind of thing.
Do you know what?
Like that.
For me, I think the perception of that comes from the fact that I saw this from Frankie on PC. And he used to do a lot of DayZ videos. A lot of DayZ videos.
And Arma 3.
Arma 3, and I played a lot of DayZ and Arma 3 and Arma 2 as well. So I think that's probably where that perception comes from for me. And it's actually very interesting that you say that. It's the way you come into Tarkov with where you are coming from at that time. So That's very interesting. I
I played
think that's
both
very,
now.
very interesting.
I played DayZ and Arma 3. I also played PUBG, a lot of PUBG. That's the first game I streamed. And to me, it was always like the hardcore part is if you die, you lose everything. It's not like in PUBG, I just start over, pick up a new gun that I find it's lying around. It's, you know, and I can find all the attachment. I just can't put it together in Raid. So I have to actually bring out stuff to mod a gun and bring that back in, risking to lose it. That was the hardcore part. Like, I think we said this a couple of times before. In other podcasts, you die 30 times in a row, you might end up with no rubles in your stash, and you cannot bring out anything. Right? That's like the hardcore part that makes the game difficult.
Absolutely.
The RPG to me always was, and Sneaky and I discussed this a little bit before. Like when they added the skills, that was one of the biggest RPG elements they could have added. And what else did you say, Sneaky? You said something else.
I said the economy. The fact that we have an economy is essentially an RPG element. Otherwise, it would just be, if not for those two things, and traders, of course, you don't necessarily have to have an economy or any sort of money in the game in order to have traders.
Yeah.
You could just have people that, you know, you walk in and out as part of like a setting where they'll give you stuff by contract.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be an economy system at
But
all.
That makes Tarkov so unique. It's not a milsim, but it is a milsim. Because you can play it like a milsim. Like, you go out with a 5-man team and you can completely play it tactical, you know.
Yeah.
That's possible. You can play it like COD. You can rush everything. You can play it like an RPG. I just sneak around, try to not be found and seen, try to grab my stuff. Like, people call it the rat way. I think that's right. Just a legit play style. To sneak around, you know, to stalk up on people. I've shown this so many times. Like I told my chat, like, look, there's a 2-man team. I can just sit here. They won't notice me. I can just follow them. I can do this and that, and then I shoot the guy when he runs there. It's like a bit of chess at times.
Yeah.
And Tarkov is so unique because it combines all of this in one game. It is a first-person shooter for sure. I mean, I can bring out guns and just run around and bloody kill everything. But I personally never saw it as it's an RPG MMO. I always saw it as hardcore FPS with RPG elements. And the elements are there, and it's cool. It makes it more wholesome, but it's not ever just a full-grown survival to me, and never like a DayZ.
To you, what are the MMO RPG elements in Tarkov specifically?
The skills, for sure. To me, the skills make the biggest deal. The fact that you can level traders in reputation. I hope someday we have factions. Like I could see you befriending the scavs. You know, you have a scav group that you can befriend, maybe on a different map, or you have the cultists. Maybe you can become a cultist one day. That's RPG elements to me. Like, I can become something else than a bear or a USEC by putting myself into the world and you know, applying myself in different fields. Or like we discussed the new skill system last podcast that I'm working on currently, where you could become a field surgeon. So if you got a 5-man team and have that role, you know, or you could be a master scavenger, you know, who loots fast or whatever. So this is all RPG elements to me.
Of course.
Right?
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And I think besides that, when they add the auction house, I think that will be very MMO-esque. And then for me, I can't really think of anything else that makes it like the MMORPG besides the skill ups, the faction possibilities, and what you just listed. Basically, that's kind of the whole that whole side, that RPG MMO side. And then everything else is either survival or first-person shooter-esque.
A big map, maybe.
Yes.
Like a really big world where all of this happens.
Right,
I think that
possibly connecting
yeah,
the
But
map
that's-
too.
That's also
or connecting it.
survival. That is a lot into
True.
a survival type of game. I mean, it could be. You could argue it's also an RPG type of. But in DayZ, as an example, if I would want to call DayZ an RPG, I would have to go on a server where everybody takes a certain role and plays that role throughout the entire time. While I would play DayZ like COD, gear up, find people, fight them, win or die. You know.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
how I
yeah.
played DayZ, and that's why I enjoyed DayZ.
Same.
I think the word for and it's synonymous with well, it's the same for both Armor and Tarkov. I feel that it's that versatility for both of those games, and we don't necessarily even have to call them games. They're platforms which allow you to do certain things within that, whatever they've built, Chernarus being for, DayZ or whatever. I mean, that's a lot of people do DayZ RP because it's so easy to do that. And I think that you could translate Tarkov, you could probably translate RP very easily and very well into Tarkov as well. I think that it's the ability to do that, and it is all of the play styles, and
I don't think you can.
Makes them unique.
And not at this point, because you have a limited
Not
time
at this point.
in a raid.
Yeah.
Like you can role play for an hour, then everybody has to go back into the same server in order to continue. Right?
Kind of.
I mean, in order to me, if like let's say GTA or whatever it's called, RP, or in Arma 3, Altus Life, yeah, you have this persistent world, and you can log in, and you log into your character and role, and you just play that role, which never was my actual thing. Like I always thought like that's a bit too much. I don't need a second life, so to say, there. But that Tarkov can't deliver on that as of now. And even if we had the big map, and let's say you have 5 hours time, at some point this needs to end. You need to extract. I don't know. Maybe you don't.
I see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying. But I think in terms of video, I think in a video format, you could definitely do something like this. Somebody like wandering around, like looting different things and having different objectives and stuff, and stitch all that together into like video form. I think that's where it's possible at the moment.
Yes.
But for sure.
Because
outside of that, actually doing it as RP every single day, almost like a TV show that people come back to every single day. You're definitely
you can do that. That's possible.
Definitely right.
But the problem is,
but
even with the big map, you can't, because you're not playing on a dedicated server, right? There's no Tarkov RP server there,
Right.
because you can just
not yet.
get the COD player in your raid that just rushes
not
around.
yet.
You're like,
Right.
oh, look at this flower. Should I pick it up? Will it affect my environment? And then this kid comes around and get wreck it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I think that not yet, man, not yet. I think there might be in the future. I'm sure they'll probably think of something like that.
They will have a lot of things like I said before. The arena will at some point be implemented, and that will make a huge part for competitive play. And I can see multiple arena maps that are based upon the maps we have at the moment and in the future, where like the crazy guys that have a more decent aim than I have are going to be, comparing their dick lengths with each other. But
Right.
that is one. We have the raids as we have them now, and I like that, and I think we're going to keep that, and we have at some point maybe the big combined map where you can do way more. So that's 3 already. So, but at the moment, what I see is we have a lot of income of new players through events that have been started, like the drops, and these players come from games like COD, and they are literally used to play this game as COD, whereas Tarkov has, in my opinion, not yet achieved to shift over the Arma 3 community, who plays way more tactical, into Tarkov. And
Can
that's
you have both? I wonder. Could you actually please both communities? Because it feels like those playstyles are just so different that you
Mhm.
have to side one or the other. Because the COD player, he's rushing in there, he's looking for fast action, but then the Arma player, they're more slow paced survival kind of guys looking for a longer, drawn out kind
Mhm.
of thing. I wonder if you can please both communities fully.
I think you can. It's just a way to approach a raid, in my opinion. If I have two COD players rushing a map and I have a 5-man Armor 3, so to say, tactical team, they will notice the two players rushing around like madmen. And they can probably decide, are we approaching them and are we engaging a firefight, or are we just disengaging the, any contact and just make sure we're staying hidden because that's not our goal or whatever. So that you can, but of course the COD player looking for other people might be like, dude, everybody's just sitting in a bloody bush. It's boring.
Right. So
That's a problem to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the things like what they do with the balancing of the game, so like the weight system change,
Mm.
that probably appealed a lot to the Arma guys, I'm
Mm.
imagining. But then for the COD players, they're like, dude, what is this, man? I can't carry out 5 slick armors. This is stupid.
Mm.
I can't run around full speed, 5 slicks, M4, Alton,
Yeah. Oh
killing
yeah.
people. Like this sucks. They're trying to change the game and make it not for us, the COD player. So like that's where it gets hairy, is even just little changes like that. It's like it'll always benefit one or the other more. Um,
Yes.
Yeah, there's going to be the comfort system, of course, that's coming in. I believe maybe 12.7. I'm not sure, but the comfort system is very similar to the weight system, but it's going to be a stat on gear, which again, it's similar to the weight system. That's all I really have. I think that's all that anyone really has. It's just similar, and again, it's a limiting mechanic to that COD play style.
Mm.
Does that make sense? So,
But I tell you what will be produced. You will have Vepper Hunter, no armor, scav vest, COD player rush style gameplay in the future. Destroying whatever they can. If they die, okay, and then taking that gear out or trying.
Yeah,
you will not have that many super gear chats anymore.
no.
And I actually enjoy. I don't like fighting a guy who only brings out a Vepper Hunter and a scav vest, or a Mosin. I'm doing it at the moment. I'm currently testing, like, can I actually benefit from this? I'm doing Mosin pistol runs on Shoreline, and I'm making money like crazy. If I die, I chuck the Bitcoin in, I'm already good. Like, that's, you know? But it's not something I would like to fight.
Tarkov has always been like this, though. You walk in there with no money, no gear, basically, into that raid, and you walk out with everything. It's always about that profit margin, right? So whether you're using good bullets, it's always about that profit margin.
Yeah.
So like running a Val has never been really that economically, sensible, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. Unless you are making so much money or whatever, you can run the best ammo in a Val. Then sure, go and wreck people. That's if that's what you want to do. But for the most part, it's always about profit. It is always about maximizing on your profit, whatever you're trying to do. Again, with the economy element.
But Finest is right. You can't please both communities at the same time. It's just not possible.
Very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Go on.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Just a long time ago, there was a video that Veritas had done, and I think he's since taken it down because I tried looking for it one day and it wasn't there. But it was on the profit margin. And so what he did was he went into labs a set number of times, once with a very expensive kit, or a few times with a very expensive kit, a few times with a medium tier, a few times with like a pistol or something. And he did all the numbers for how much he spent versus how much he made and averaged them out for every raid. And it came out to be that he essentially made the most money when he brought in the least amount of gear. And that was kind of the like conclusion of the video is unfortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, the best way to play Tarkov to, I guess, profit the most is to bring in the least amount of gear generally. Because what happens is you spend so much on the good ammo, the good armor, that you can succeed a few times, but then when you die, it just takes you down so much. It cuts your profits down so much that it ends up not being as valuable profitable as the low gear stuff, which is it was unfortunate to hear that, but I kind of get it. It just
It's
you just risk so little when you bring in nothing. It costs
Exactly.
so little to bring in nothing.
It's just not rewarding to bring out more.
Generally, yeah. I think
Like because it doesn't matter if you have full gear or a hatchet. If a Mosin hits you in the right spot, you're dead either way.
yeah.
But if you only brought a pistol or something, your losses, that's nothing.
And that Moses shot might go straight
110,000
through you and not kill you because you're not wearing armor.
That one
Might actually even be better, yeah.
Yeah.
so
So
always perplexed me.
yeah, it's always it's that balance again, but very very good points. I mean, where is it going? We can only guess. We can't. I don't know. Obviously, the BSG have their own views on whatever's going to happen to the game. So hold tight for that.
What kind of player are you, Sneaky? COD or?
I would say that I've transitioned for sure. I have definitely transitioned because playing the game more like Call of Duty a lot of the time will actually yield better rewards. And I'll tell you the reason why. A lot of it's to do with at least for me, I like close quarters combat. I'm not very good at, long range. I'm just not a sniper. I'm not. So for me, I've always enjoyed close quarters, and that essentially means a lot of the time making the right decision and the right play at the right time. So it's a lot of it is just rushing and just the timings of different animations, possibly between two different characters in a firefight, that kind of thing. So that's a lot of the time what I play on. I love my corners. I love pre-firing corners. That's just one of my thing. When I know that somebody's there, you're getting pre-fired. It's as simple as that. I much rather take my chance and actually crest that corner first with, say, a pre-fire or a peek than sit there holding an angle and let somebody else walk out. Again, possibly playing on servers, essentially that peeker's advantage type deal, trying to catch that. But again, it doesn't always work. Can be quite rewarding, but and it's definitely very satisfying, I think, when all of a sudden your screen's just a whole mess and then you come out and it's like, did I really just do that? And that's I don't know, he probably looks like shit on stream, but I like it. I'm sorry.
No, it's just a personal preference, I guess.
Yeah.
Fun.
So yeah. But what about you, Finest? Would you say that you're a fast player or a slow player? I don't know. I don't really like the term chads and rats. I don't.
Right,
No.
yeah. I don't know if that describes the full play style. I think that's more of like a I guess there's some I don't know, that's a tough one. Because I guess rats would tend to wait around to clean up more, and then chads would be the pushers. So I guess there is some correlation. For me personally, I like to play more aggressive. I find myself whenever I am waiting, like when we're in a stalemate and I know someone's there and I'm here and we're just waiting for someone to make a move, I'll make the move. Even if it's going to get me killed, I'd actually just rather get the engagement over with because I don't like sitting there doing nothing. And if I die, I die. We can talk about what I did wrong, if I just missed or whatever. Yeah, no, I like the more aggressive play style. And I think it's not just being aggressive for the sake of aggression. It's also because I'm not always just rushing headfirst through straight through the map to get to the enemy. I do put some thought into it as well. Like, I'll try and make the most tactically sound decision. I guess I'll just do it aggressively. So
Mhm.
if I know someone's at a certain position, I'll think to myself, okay, how can I get to him the safest? And give myself the best chance of taking him down. So, we'll rotate. I'll try and always move between cover. I tell people to do it all the time. Like, don't ever, if you can, don't ever just run through the open. Try and always be near something to hide behind because, once you get shot at, you need to get to that cover and quickly get on the opposite side of wherever you're getting shot from. But yeah, I don't know. I guess because I also play with a lot of teammates, right? Some that are more aggressive than others. And when I'm playing with the slower paced teammates, I'm just finding myself like, man, I want to go. Like I want to push out there, but I always try and kind of conform to whoever I'm playing with, and just give them like the best support. So if I am playing with someone who's more tactical and not so aggressive, I'll try and fit that role with them. And just I don't know. I like to try out different play styles, but when I'm solo, I'm stupidly aggressive. I think it also makes for good content because I don't mind dying at all. I don't. And especially if I can do something funny or crazy, if it's like, wow, I can't believe you just did that, or you just died in the funniest way, like that's better for me than waiting for 10 minutes to make sure I kill the guy.
I actually die more when I play in a team, unless my duo partner is really on my same level of how to play the game and communications wise. Otherwise, I'm way more successful solo. Way more.
Are you more aggressive solo or you are? Yeah.
Because actually, I think my problem is if your duo or if your trio is not good on a communications level, in my head I always have like, they have my back, they have this corner, they have this, they're flanking there while they're just searching through a fucking box when I am approaching a guy already on a team,
yeah.
Like there's only a few where I can say it's really easy to kill entire teams. Like I did it with Ghost Freak and with Tweak. I did it with Slushy. These are guys where I can say, yeah, I can play with them and they know exactly what to do. But they're also super experienced in the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of hours in the game.
Yeah. And you can tell it makes a difference every time. Like if a situation comes up, the really experienced people already know what to do, depending on the map. For sure. That's why I don't play reserve. I've played reserve like 20 times. I have no fucking clue what to do. Like it's not
I'm just
like
now
in
learning
customs
that map.
or if I watch Sneaky, running around a factory. I have my way of playing factory solo. In a team, I wouldn't fucking know what to do, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if I know what to do either. Factory team. I don't play factory much, actually.
No, not at all.
Or my least played maps.
No, that's labs because of people not playing as fair as I would like them to play.
Yeah, I get that. Whenever if I decide to play labs, I have to commit several rounds to labs. My theory with labs is you might die a couple times in labs. It might be to legit things, it might be to unlegit things. But for me, in my head, I'm like, okay, if I play labs 5 times, I might die 4, but maybe on that 5th time, I basically make enough money to make up for most of the other runs. So like, I think playing labs just once is probably like just a bad idea because you might just die to a hacker and then stop, and then you're down a mil. But if you had committed a few more runs to labs, then you come out with the lead X or 2, and the one run you do survive, and it's kind of paid for. So like, I think, whenever I play labs, I have to play a lot of labs. But these days, I'm not really playing a lot of labs right now.
It's like gambling.
Yes.
It's like it's literally
It's Russian
like gambling,
roulette,
but of course,
actually.
yeah, it literally
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it's Russian roulette, but in video game form. I don't know. I guess that's why a lot of people get hooked on labs.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have labs players who only play labs and live there. They farm everything there. They don't need to go outside of it. They don't. Once you start getting into that cycle of going, factory is very similar too, but just much. I don't know. Is it less risky? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe not. I haven't really died to in like weird ways on factory in a while. It's been a couple of weeks for sure. But
True.
before the wipe, I'll tell you what. Before the wipe, oh my god,
A lot of
factory was just as bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because at some point they figure like the majority of the player base stops playing that map. If you
Yeah.
infest it, they just go other maps.
Yeah.
So you saw them spread out everywhere.
Yeah.
And
That's what some
and-
people think happened, right? Like people were seeing them on every map.
Yeah.
Sus players, they're starting to branch out at the end of last wipe.
yeah.
Is the general consensus? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that happened, and for multiple different reasons. People started running really light kits, really light but effective kits. So like no helmet,
Mhm.
level 4, that level 4 vest. Val,
Yeah.
very, very, like no mods practically. Just Val level 4 vest, balaclava, some headphones, maybe 3 mags, like 4 or 5 mags maximum, like 2 mags in your like secure container or whatever, and you reload in there and stuff, and that's it. It's bare bones as hell. So there was
Yeah.
not a lot to be had. Plus, Ledexes there's been several trays that have been introduced as well, making that not as good. And you could get them on Shoreline and and everything else you can get everywhere pretty much, apart from just a few little things like VPXs and whatever, the RFID readers and stuff.
Oh, you can get RFID readers on reserve. There's a static spawn
Yeah,
where it's
okay.
always there. An example.
Yeah, there's the Vertex, I think, and the VPX. I'm pretty sure are the only ones that spawn on labs, if I remember.
I don't know. I don't know, but I think I thought it was a defib. I think the Vertex actually can spawn on reserve, but I'm not sure.
Defibs. I'm pretty sure defibs have been found in the on interchange upstairs and in
Ultra
MES.
Med.
Oh
I
yeah,
can confirm. I
that
found a
room
couple
got
there.
added. Yeah, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that is, of course, that is one of the reasons why. But I mean, ultimately, it always has been bad. Just people didn't notice before. They just got more blatant,
Right.
recently.
Yeah.
So to say, because of the the game is now on the rise to become so massive on the market that you naturally attract all kinds of people, and of course you attract some people that have ill intent, but if the bigger the game gets, and I can remember this with PUBG, the bigger it got, like radar was the biggest thing for PUBG, because you could now see every player. You could see the direction they're facing, the guns they're having.
Yeah.
So
that really helps with not only if you want to fight them, but if you don't want to fight them and you just want to make money to sell the money for real money. It's
yeah.
That's why radar is so hard. It just makes it real unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. But I mean, that's just, and it's funny, but that's also a play style. Like, people doing that for real life money is also a play style we got recently. Like, it always has been there. Let's not be stupid about it. It always has been there. You could buy in-game stuff years ago already.
That's another MMO element, by the way, the ability to purchase money from third-party websites, because that's also a thing with pretty much every other MMO, is they have websites where you can buy the in-game currency. I think for other games, though, I'd argue that for other games like World of Warcraft, I don't know if you can still purchase money.
I think you can.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
I think you can.
I think it's less impactful for those games. I don't know, like,
of course it is, because money in World of Warcraft doesn't level your character. It doesn't increase, like they have these artifact weapons or whatnot. It doesn't increase that really. There's only a limited stuff you can do with the money in World of Warcraft. Whereas in Tarkov, if you have a lot of money, the flea market's there, the traders are there. You can buy whatever the frick you want,
right?
And it's the, like, having money at the moment in Tarkov is everything. You don't need to be level 40. You need to be level 10. If you have 200 million, you can just live off the flea market, even if it's only found in raid.
Right. Yeah. The other thing I just remembered, as far as the RMT thing goes, is that I personally feel that when people are going into the raid with radar or just going into, with the intention of getting money to sell for real money, that's taking away from the other players in the raid's experience, I'd argue. Whereas on, World of Warcraft, someone buying money, it doesn't take away from anybody else. Like, it matters so little in WoW, but in Tarkov, you're not getting a fair swing at a raid when there are people in there, using radar or just going in there to get money to sell for real money, because they're not. I don't know.
I see what you're saying. I think the problem in Tarkov is more acute than it is in WoW. I think it's still, when it comes to, say, PvP in WoW, I'm sure that still counts and that still matters. Maybe there's some sort of a mechanic where it levels out everybody in a raid, against each other in PvP or whatever, so that that damage is proportional. The damage taken, damage received, whatever, damage sent, it doesn't matter. The damage is proportional to whatever, so that everybody's more or less on the same level. I've seen lots of games do that, actually. Division has done that to a certain extent, where you farm up the most craziest gear, with your friends in a PvE setting, because that's ultimately what it is. Unless you go into the dark zone, and of course, in the dark zone, everybody's kind of more or less they've smoothed it out to where, especially in multiplayer, like multiplayer matches where it's deathmatch or capture the flag or something, along those lines. Those are definitely 100% smoothed out to where everybody's more or less level. You'll still be rocking your, whatever M4 or your Chris Vector, whatever division that you found that you're using, but it will be leveled out and smooth between everybody else is participating. So it's not OP. You can't do that in Tarkov.
No.
Right.
Yeah. There's just no way. So it's much more acute in Tarkov, and
just imagine,
much more of an impact.
If the matchmaking queue would level the gear, I would only go as a hatchling.
Imagine
spawning in with my HK because everybody else was running an HK. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
No, that's not possible, and that's why money is so valuable in Tarkov.
Yeah.
Speaking of what's to come, because we had this earlier, Sneaky, maybe you can give us some impressions of what you just listened to.
Some leaks.
Sure. Yeah, there is a little bit, and this is fairly fresh information. This video was created about 4 days ago. I should have been on it much earlier than this, but Nikita did. Obviously, Nikita, everybody knows Nikita, participated in a game show. It was Games Mania, a Russian games news-led outlet, similar to not like Kotaku or I don't know, like PC Gamer, for instance. They have their own magazine and their own podcasts and shows. Like PC Gamer, for instance, so it's similar, but it's Russian. So he hopped on there and it dropped some pretty interesting information on the people that were listening at the time. This was, of course, in Russian. And, well, I mean, it's not a secret because he's already said it, and I'm going to be making a summary of it anyway. But basically, there's going to be a fairly small patch coming fairly soon, which will be 12.62. I believe we're in 12.61 right now, currently. There's going to be some interesting stuff contained in there. He didn't go into any specifics, apart from he did say, watch out for a new Preypor quest, which will bring in something interesting. well, just something interesting. He didn't specify at all, but he did say that there will be a new Preypol quest. It might even be a quest line. I'm not sure. There will be more specifics later. And of course, 12.7, which he said is going to contain the game's first grenade launcher, fully functional. And this is not the UBGL. Hold your horses. It's not the UBGL. This is not. This is a handheld device, just like a tube. With a single grenade that you put in there. The 40mm grenades, I believe at this point, which you can find in Raid, I believe that those will be used with the new grenade launcher. But there's a few other details and things which did come out, but essentially it was just a lot of talk about the current state of the game and where they're going, and stuff like that. They did talk about cheaters quite a lot. They did talk about real money transfers quite a lot as well. So they are on the heels of people who are using those kinds of services. So do watch out for that. Of course, they are always tweeting about the fact that they've banned so many people and all this. They want to keep in contact with the community. They want feedback. They want all of that stuff to come in as quickly as possible so that they can take care of it. There was some pretty interesting details. Consoles, for instance. Nikita mentioned the fact that the console was never off the table. In fact, just about everybody in the category has probably been slamming, just fist on table saying this will never come to console ever for years.
I'm just
and now he
trying
comes out
to
and he's
imagine
like, no,
playing this on a PlayStation, like this game.
Yeah.
How?
Recently,
he said controls wise, it's fine. Sorry.
No, you're good. Just real quick, Geeksay recently did a thing where he played Tarkov on a controller. He got a fancy Xbox One controller, and he programmed all the buttons to correspond to in-game commands, and he had an absolutely terrible time. And I completely understand, because I came from console as well. I don't think this game's going to translate well, and I definitely don't think any console player will have any chance against a PC player. And if they add any sort of aim assist for them, I will cry. Because that does not need to exist, in my opinion. Or if they just keep it separate, right? No crossplay. Console, PC. Please don't mix them.
Yeah.
It won't go well.
Don't cross.
It just will not go well.
Yeah, no. But
new voice lines were talked about as well, apparently. So we're getting some new voice lines, I think.
Are you finally able to be the bear?
Wishful thinking, Dashing, but let's not get ahead of us. But yeah, so new voice lines are coming for, I believe, both factions, but we'll see. With the same voice actors, I don't know. There's a few bits and bobs. The information will be, of course, released very soon. I'm gonna get on it as soon as we get out of here for this podcast. But it's looking really interesting. It's looking really, really interesting. I think they've got a lot planned. And again, definitely emphasis on the fact that cheaters and just the whole RMT thing that's happening. It is a setback. That's how they see it. That is how they see it. They see it as more of a setback because it's something which they have to take care of. It's something which they have to dedicate resources to specifically. So they see it as a setback because then they have to do that, right? They can't just otherwise they'd just dedicate all the resources to building assets, world, whatever, server infrastructure. I don't know. Whatever it is. But it is an issue, and it is something which they have to pursue, otherwise the game will just anyway, so on to a happier question. What would you Finest, what would you see? Where would you see Tarkov going, and what would you like to see in Tarkov? In fact, let me refine that. What would you like to see in Tarkov? I mean, I know it's a very broad and kind of hard question, but anything.
So I have thought a lot about this, and it's one thing I want to see in Tarkov. Uh, to put it broadly, custom games. I back in the day played a lot of Halo 3, and custom games were a huge part of Halo 3. Basically, the ability to invite your friends into a game, play the map you wanted, eh, do whatever you wanted, kind of mess around, have a good time, set parameters. If you wanted twice the amount of health, if you wanted one-shot kills, whatever it was. Um, I want to see that in Tarkov because I really feel that it's gonna make the game more accessible for a lot of people that like Tarkov a lot. They're just very bad at it. So the ability to have an entirely separate game mode where you can gear up how you want and go into an offline with your friends and just dick around. It hurts no one. It's just all good fun. Letting people who aren't very good at Tarkov have that kind of fun and be able to play with their friends like that, I think could only be good for the game. It might even inspire them to get better at the game and go online and just continue to get better.
Hmm.
There's
Wasn't
the
that-
argument. Go ahead.
Wasn't there a discussion about you being able to invite people into your offline raids at some point?
Oh
Was it-
yeah, that's definitely coming.
Yeah.
Offline co-op,
Mhm.
co-op. From what I understand, co-op offline will be coming at some point. But then there's always that conversation of, well, if we let people go offline, they will just test and do whatever in offline, right? They're not doing it on live service, so we can't track it.
Oh,
So there's always that. They have spoken about that before. They can either do that, or I mean, again, if it's some sort of a dedicated server, I don't know. I'm not really sure, but they've always been kind of like, are we really gonna do this? Everything should just be online anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, you should just be clicking the button and just going straight in with your friends. Doesn't matter. This is a
right.
brutal fucking game. What do you do? Like,
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah.
But I don't know. They have
And it's
spoken
something
about it
they
before.
still have to learn because I assure you a lot of content creators would love that too, to make such videos like we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One argument I hear a lot is, well, it'll split the community, and then they won't have enough people to go online because everyone's gonna want to play offline with their friends. I just
No.
don't. I can't see that. I really can't. It wasn't like that in any previous game. I don't know, and why. I I can't see it that way. I feel like it would only bring more people into the game because I do think
Yeah.
there's a large market for people who want to play Tarkov, but they are literally just bad. But they'd love to play offline with their friends if gear didn't matter, and they could just grab an M4 offline, go into a 6v6, and just play with their friends. I think it'd bring more people into the game, and then they'd be more inclined to tell their friends, "Hey, dude, you should get Tarkov so you can come play with us." Like, they have an offline mode now. It's easy. You don't have to worry about losing gear. It's just fun. You come in and play, and it's super, it's fun. And then those
Yeah.
people will get the game, support the company, and then eventually, when their friends are not online, they might be like, "I want to go online because I have a
Mhm.
lot of fun with this game.
Mhm.
So let's go online and just play with, just the regular game."
Yeah.
So I think it'd be
Actually,
good for the game.
you know what? I think quite a few games do that. They do something similar, but under different branding or guise. If I don't know, but basically, like public test servers, right? Like PTAs for Rainbow Six, for instance, right?
Yep.
Nothing matters. You just play with the new stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is, right? You go and test out the new map. You go and test out new audio, whatever, new guns, operators.
Mhm.
Star Citizen does something very similar.
Mhm.
They have the public test universe with PTU, whatever. I don't know how they
PUBG,
call it.
custom games.
PUBG.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You still
PUBG
find
custom games.
online normal games, no problem. But you
Yeah,
have the
I'm
custom
just-
game.
I'm trying to think in the same kind of setting as, but anyway, yeah. Sorry, you were saying fun.
Oh, I know some people that at this point will still play PUBG, but just for the custom games. Because they still have a lot of fun with that.
Mhm.
And I think anything that gets people playing your game, even when most people consider the game to be dead, has to be good, right? I mean,
Yeah.
custom games for PUBG. People are still playing them.
Arma 3, Arma
Pretty good.
2, those games did not succeed because their single player campaign was awesome. They succeeded because they had moddable things like King of the Hill and Battle Royale, as a matter of fact. And DayZ, these mods, they were created there.
Yeah, all my friends who still play DayZ prefer the modded servers because they're more fun.
PUBG comes from Arma 3 too, from Arma 2, I think even. So this is why this game was so successful, and it was just moddable content done outside of the company. So if I implement an offline mode in Tarkov where I can invite up to, let's say, 10 people, let's even say 10 people, and I just want to record a nice video of gameplay, like Frankie on PC would do that, dude. If that was possible, he would instantly start creating content on that, because of the graphics, because of all the kind of crazy things, whatever. Or you just want to play versus, like you said, or you just want to say, oh, let's spawn in hordes of scavs and we just fight them as a team.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. That doesn't destroy the game. You still find a raid. You still,
of course,
can fight players, whatever. I think it just adds another layer to the game that will attract more people.
You know what other game? I mean, this is definitely outside of first-person shooters and survival games, but another game that does game modes really, really well, and a really good amount of them too. StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 has a lot of game modes, and we're talking about custom missions for like co-op, for instance, which are built into the game itself. They're done by the actual studio, themselves, right? That's the design of the game. That's what they wanted to do. Obviously, free for alls and your 2v2s and 1v1s or whatever, ladder, non-ladder. I mean, there's examples of it. There's lots of examples of it, and those games thrive. They do. Especially how old is StarCraft 2 now? And there's still people playing it. How old is StarCraft 1? There's still people playing that. Obviously, a very far example, but it is. You do bring a very good point, absolutely, about custom games. I think that custom games, there's a time and a place, and I think that sure, it would be nice to have custom games right now, but I think that will only really come in the future when we do have a lot of stuff already in the game. We do already, but I think when there's we're close to almost full release, then they'll be like, okay, we can release certain assets for you to play around with. That kind of deal.
I think it would be better off later on for sure.
Yeah,
when the game's a little more stable, they have everything else rounded out. They got to get the platform, the base of the whole thing down first. And right now, besides new content, one of the biggest things is still server stability and the cheater problem. Those two things need to be squashed for the most part, and then everything else can just be great.
We have one other big topic, which is the current economy. But before we jump into that, because you just said that server stability, and Sneaky and I were looking into, I Wiresharked an entire raid the other day, and I Wiresharked raids before to just check on the update rates, etc. And I haven't really had the time to analyze all the traffic yet, but it looks like there's a lot more spikes up and down from the game. There's a lot more downtimes, especially where your client has to process information and then send the new information back to the server. So meaning it has to decrypt the package received from the server and has to encrypt the package, sending it back to the server. So that causes a lot of micro stutters that you see. It sometimes feels like you play a game, like if you have a super graphical game and then you play it on an old machine. It's really clunky. It's not like it's horrible, but you see it. You see there's a difference. There's micro stutters,
right?
That make it feel so awkward, and it really is disturbing. And then you, of course, sometimes have these huge spikes of desync, like at the beginning of a raid, an example, where it takes up to 4 or 5 seconds before you can switch guns or do whatever.
Right.
Which I don't know for sure, but I think that is caused by that. And I understand why they wanted to do it in the first place. I mean, they have to do things to, you know, annoy people breaking the game. But I think it wasn't worth it. It was not beneficial for the game and the community as a whole. And they have to find a place and a time for server stability to become really good. And, you know, fighting cheaters. However, there's always going to be cheaters. There is no online massive multiplayer game without cheaters.
Right.
It's just not possible.
Right.
So I personally don't see a problem if I don't encounter a cheater every raid, but you know, in 20 raids I encounter one. It's okay. You know, I'm not mad. I just keep going.
Right.
But if I die every raid, of course, you know, I start getting frustrated.
Right.
So they have to find this balance between us being able to enjoy the game with stability and with, you know, not having a bloody idiot every raid.
Absolutely. So I'm kind of unfamiliar with you're saying what
They're
Wire
encrypting.
something?
They're encrypting packets now. Wireshark. Yeah, that's a program you can use to monitor your network traffic, basically.
I gotcha. So go ahead.
Yeah. So they're doing something good, but they're overdoing it at the moment. Ping limit, same.
Right. So you're saying there's some stuff on BSG's end that they've implemented to try and fight some of the cheaters,
Well,
but it's making it difficult for everyone else.
Yeah, it's encryption. Well, basically, I don't know if you've noticed. I was noticing it because I mean, I have the gamer optimizer guys that look after my PC anyway, so I don't really. I touch it. I know what's happening on my PC, but most of the time they look after it, and I just kind of like I let them do their thing. They take me through it. I do it myself, but they look after it for the most part. So some stuff that they've done in order to get my PC working as well as it does, I don't really know, but and it does work, and it has been working very, very well, especially after the wipe. There was 0 to no stutters. Sure, there was desync and lag and things, but I think it's kind of carried on. But with the new added encryption, there did come a fairly you can barely notice it, and I think that now that once I've told you, you might be able to notice it. I don't know. For those of you, I mean, the three of us that are present, you may have seen it, but anybody else that's listening, of course, you may start noticing it, and I do apologize for that. But it is micro stutters. Those micro stutters, they're not the same micro stutters that we've seen before. The micro stutters that we've seen before, in comparison to these ones, were actual stutters. These are actually super small. They're they're minute. They're tiny, but it is a consistent, almost like choppiness. If
Is
that
it
makes sense.
like if you're running, is it every step or two you just see the tiny
something like that?
Yep.
Okay, I absolutely have noticed that.
It's annoying.
And it drives me insane. And I pointed out to people, and I don't think they can see it on the stream, but I'm like, guys, like I'm getting, and you're right, compared to the previous micro stutters, these are actual micro stutters because they're minute, they're within like less than 10 milliseconds, which is it's so fast you don't even know if you actually saw it happen, but it's happening every couple of steps.
But it feels so choppy, like when you quick move around, and it's really horrible. And like I said, at the beginning of a raid now, it takes you a long time for the PMC to actually arrive in the raid so you can start doing things. And all of that because at the beginning of each raid, the server sends you a massive amount of information, like where every player is, what loot's on the map, where it is, where the scavs are, what the loadout is. You get all that information, but now that the client has to actually first decrypt the information, process it, and then confirm it, that takes way longer than before. And where and that's why you see these 4 to 5 seconds, and then it continues throughout the raid because you're sending your location information to the server constantly. Obviously, like all the other players do, you also receive their locations from the server, which all has to be decrypted, processed, confirmed, etc. So it all takes longer. And because it's not a massive amount like at the beginning, you start getting these micro stutters now.
Yeah.
And they're so horrible. It's always like the head bobbing. It makes me motion sick sometimes.
Right. And this is a relatively new thing you guys are saying? Because you're right, now that you mention it, it wasn't always this way.
No.
It's fairly recent.
Within about like a week and a half, this has happened. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
makes sense.
After the wipe, they waited for about 2 weeks to see what was happening, and then as soon as they saw that it's coming back up, because obviously like the code has changed for the biggest patch or whatever, they pushed that out. So basically, everybody has to now then, especially all the like cheaters and whatever else, like all of those people have to work around what they've done. They have to rebuild whatever they have into this new version.
Yes,
for that to work. So that takes them a little bit of time, and they essentially saw within that 2 weeks that, hey, things are starting to ramp up again. We need to do something about this.
Yeah.
So they brought in packet encryption, and I'm sorry if
3 days.
It
took them 3 days to go around packet encryption.
Yeah, you're saying they've already figured out how to work around it?
I know.
Yeah. It's the worst fight is the cheater fight, because they're just relentless, and there's money involved, and they're just like the anti-devs, you know what I mean? They're like,
not all of them. Some of them are just doing it to learn. They're not actually even cheating. They're just interested. They're just interested in how it works.
And the how it works aspect. Yeah.
A lot of the projects, also around Tarkov, I think, have been released to like through discussions between 2 or more people saying like, I found this out, but I can't figure how this works, and then somebody else was like, I can make some money off of that,
Yeah.
It's not always like people always like to crack something. Like reverse engineering.
Right.
Me looking at the Tarkov code, I look at the Tarkov code for different reasons. I don't look at it with ill intent in order to change my stats every raid or whatever, but rather want to know, why does it not work properly? Why does this work the way it does, and what have they done? And then I could I often go to Ghost Freak or someone and say like, look, can you tell Nikita that this isn't working? There's a problem there. And I don't care if somebody goes in there and says like, oh, I'm gonna fucking abuse that. That's not information I make public anyway. But that's a different kind of reverse engineering. Others like to reverse engineer a game in order to crack it in public, make the software public. Otherwise you would need a key. That's illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm doing is not legal technically, but there's always different sides of people doing stuff, and I just don't want to throw them all in one pot.
Right. For the safety, we could use the term data mining. Essentially, that's basically what it is.
It's been endorsed by Battlestate Games, in my opinion, because the guys from the Tarkov wiki are doing data mining. Fact. And a
lot of the
certain content creator who's a really nice guy who provides an ammo chart is also data mining.
Right.
Yeah. And BSG
so there's
says,
a lot of it happening.
Go check this ammo chart out. I mean, I'm sorry, guys, but
that's true. No, it's true. But they have spoken about in the previous podcast, Nikita said that they are going to make that information available openly to anyone at some point. Not in the near future. This is something that's in the far future, closer to release. They're just going to make most of the information public. Of course, that information is most likely going to change because, you know, metas change. You want to keep the game fresh and stuff like that. Of course, it's going to change. But it is something which they've spoken about quite.
I don't. You can
quite a
ever
lot.
balance that out with ammo. I think you're never done balancing the game out. There's always some smart pants that comes along and says like, but I just used the PS ammo, which has now 1 pen more because they made a fatal mistake, and now I can, you know. And then everybody goes that, and they're like, oh shit, we have to change that, and all of a sudden, another ammo type's better. And I don't know. You're never done.
It's true. It's true.
One last thing though.
Go on.
I would like to discuss, and we had this last week already, Sneaky. Drops versus economy. Because
we were talking more about the drops last time. Yeah,
that's true. But I just checked. I made 2.5 million. I checked before the podcast on my second account.
Okay.
With the drops by just selling it to the traders. I haven't sold everything. And that is in a level 2 account. 2.5 million. That's a lot of money.
I'll give you something to think about too off the back of what you're saying. In the video that I just watched, the Russian video on Games Mania. So Nikita said that 12.7 probably won't contain a global wipe. Normal 12.62. So that means I think the time span we're given with, like the window of time that we're given with, or to work with, is probably around the 4 to 5, maybe even 6 month mark before the next big patch and big wipe comes out. So if any of you are pushing for Kappa, of course.
12.7? I mean, I thought like we're getting 12.7 in like 4 or 5 months. I mean, the next big wipe would be 12.8 then already, right?
We'll see. I mean, it's been what, 4 weeks now? It's been a month, right? It's been a month already.
Isn't it 3 weeks?
Is it 3 weeks?
I don't think we've hit a month yet. We're close.
Okay, so 3 weeks. But even within those 3 weeks, so much has happened already. How many people are running around in like Slick Alton or with Val? In fact, yeah. See, so. I mean, I'm level 32 or 33 or something. I'm not progressing too quickly, right? Like, I'm not rushing. So I'm just kind of chilling and just, I'm just waiting for a lot of the stuff to go down in price so I can just then buy it, because I'm essentially just making money off the things that I find in raid. I come back, I've got a bunch of, hose that I need to, use for my hideout. I'd much rather sell them right now and go back into that same raid to then, to make more money or whatever it is, to then wait for the items to fall in price, buy them.
I like that strat a lot.
Yeah.
But the drops destroyed that, in my opinion. Even if they're not found in raid, everybody by now, and I know there's some hardcore farmers, like hardcore drops farmers, has so much money. This game, I always thought, like, isn't it hardcore? Isn't it super hard? I mean, I thought about it. People that aren't as good will probably lose that money really quickly.
Very quickly. I was going to say 2 million. What's 2 million?
But...
like, 2 million is not a lot.
But I just think, like, the market's been flooded with so much money. Just thinking about it. Like, and everybody's got a key tool, right? I mean, my second account had a key tool. I sold it for 500k.
If you had the Christmas bonus, previous wipes, you would immediately get a key tool.
Yeah, they removed that though for that purpose, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so give me just a second for my take on this, because on the ground, right, in servers, on the ground, in my raids, I felt like there was less loot, scarce. It was very scarce on the ground loot. So sure, there'd be stuff in containers and whatever, but I think this is actually something which they did very specifically. They nerfed a lot of the loot. They nerfed marked rooms within the first 3 days. This almost always happens. They ramp it up to, somebody gets lucky, gets a marquee for customs, whatever, gets a reserve marquee. They go and hit those marked rooms within the first day or two, and all of a sudden they're filthy rich. Why? Well, because they always ramp up the loot at the beginning, and then they tone it back. And I think they toned it back a little too far this time. just before they hit us with drops.
They changed the
And I
entire
think-
loot spawn system, so
I think they're throwing, because at the moment I feel the stuff that I've got in drops, I would have got pretty much anyway if the loot economy was the same.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were just
I-
kind of like starving us a little bit just before.
You're saying that they in the very beginning, some of the loot is hyped up just in the raids, and then they do tone it down. Okay, so I've definitely driven myself crazy wondering how many times a wipe they silently change a loot
Often.
pool. Because I
They
had
do it
so much
pretty often.
I had so much resort, and sometimes I'm getting, all this stuff, and then for what seems like days and even weeks, I'm just like not getting anywhere near as as good as it was. Customs marked room first couple days, maybe by the third time I hit it, I'd gotten my sick case. And then I've been hitting it a bunch since then, and I've chains and guns and nothing crazy.
I actually hit it so fast this wipe, I didn't get anything good. Well, I got a fridge and a med case twice, but no sick case or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
But they're not changing the loot tables too often. The last time they majorly touched the loot tables before was when they added LEDX to certain loot tables on other maps. And what they did now is they changed the spawn chance of items, which is, absolutely horrible. But in addition, they also increased the loot tables. Like the fact that you now can find, that's the best example I always like to use, that you can find LEDX in duffel bags. It's crazy because now you literally have to run to every duffel bag and search it because there could be a LEDX in there. It's stupid.
Wait.
Oh,
Is
you
this
didn't
real?
know? Yes, it's real.
Yeah, I did not
I have
know
not.
that.
I have
found
not
one
made
there
this. I told my chat, but I haven't made a video about it because I thought like everybody knows.
Oh, see, that's your mistake. Some of my most successful videos are the ones that I told myself, oh, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. Everyone knows this already.
That's fine.
I How to Get the Red Rebel ice pick video, one of my most successful. I'm like, everyone knows this already, right? No, people don't know these things. LEDX and duffels, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
They changed a bit more to loot tables in general. Yeah, so loot tables now, and where stuff can spawn, like the stuff that can spawn in containers and on the ground has changed a lot. Yes. And that combined with the chance, like if you go into raid, it's like rolling a dice, but now it's like the game can decide. Before it was like 35 to something % chance to have something on a table, like in 310, yeah. Now it's a 10% to 60% chance to have something.
Okay, wider ranging there.
So it can mean you could have something good, you could have something really bad, like a chain, or nothing.
Right.
The nothingness before was way smaller. So opening a locked room in Resort was always worth doing because you would find something,
That makes
most
sense,
of the
yeah.
time, most of the times. And then now because all the loot is spread out, you're having trouble to find actually good stuff.
Is that dynamic loot first stages of it in effect?
No.
Would you say?
It feels
No.
like it. It feels like they're moving towards it. They're practicing, but it's not.
It's harder
it's
for
not
one
it.
person to
Okay.
get everything
So-
immediately because it's more spread out.
So dynamic loot, you guys have to explain to me what you understand dynamic loot is, and then I tell you what it technically means to implement that and why I don't think that's coming.
Okay. So for me, when I think dynamic loot, what I'm thinking of is I no longer think, okay, 226, I go resort 226 east, I can find a LEDX. It's more like, okay, I'm gonna go hit the town and I'm gonna search everything in a town because I might find the LEDX in a jacket pocket in the town. It's not just like I don't think, okay, I'm gonna go here for the best piece of loot on this map. It's like I'm gonna choose to loot this section because I think I'll have a good chance over here of finding something great. It's just, for me, taking away the specific locations for certain things and putting them in more
It's
loopholes.
not dynamic
kind of
loot. So
That's not dynamic?
no, that's just you're basically saying I have like a jacket is a loot spawn, right? Every jacket on Shoreline, in example, is a loot spawn. That
Right.
loot spawn has a loot table assigned to it. And I could
Right.
just say in that loot table you have a 0.1% chance to spawn a LEDX.
Mhm.
And then the engine goes through and says like, okay, I'm rolling the dice here and I'm picking this, and I'm rolling the dice to either pick a second item or not. And if it's a second item, I'm rolling it again to pick this and that.
Mhm.
And this is basically very simplified how it works. That is
Right.
not dynamic. Dynamic is when you approach a location and the loot then gets spawned and there is nothing in there before. That makes it absolutely impossible to actually know where to go. Which would mean, because right now, if I have a radar, I can see where the loot is, right? So right now I
Is that
have a super
in you?
advantage.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I can. You get. I'll come to that in a second.
Right.
You see where every loot item is, so they can run to the duffel bag that has the LEDX, where everybody else wouldn't even think of going. So that's a huge advantage. This is why I think the changes BSG made are really not good. Really not good. Because right now they have to go into, before they had to go into resort, hit those rooms, and I had a chance, even if it was a slim one, to fight them for it. Now they can just go like, this idiot is going resort, but he will only find a bloody gold chain, while I just go over there where he would never go and just grab this good shit. And with dynamic loot, that would change. The problem is, and that's why radar works for Tarkov so well, at the moment, your client receives all the information, I said that before, at the beginning of the raid, where every player
loading loot
spawned,
section.
what gun they spawned with, what their name is, where every piece of loot is, etc., etc. And if you do that in dynamic loot, then you would have to receive that information constantly, right? So the lag spikes you would get is unplayable. I think, because the game's just not optimized. At some point that might be implemented, but that would also open a lot of the possibilities towards event spawns, like a helicopter crash or whatnot, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's not dynamic loot I want more loot tables to include a wider variety of items. That's what I'm essentially saying I want. When I say I want LEDX chance in a jacket pocket in,
Yeah.
I want the loot table to include more loot, a wider variety. And then as far as dynamic loot, we would want that so people using radar can no longer just immediately see where the LEDX is and go straight there, because it wouldn't appear to them until they got close to it. The problem is that would cause more lag because the game already can't handle what it's doing
Well,
right
it
now.
has to. You approach that. So there's two possibilities. You approach a region and the loot gets spawned in. That's how DayZ worked for a long time. I don't know if it still does. Or you start searching something and then the loot gets spawned into that container. Like then the dice is being rolled.
Right.
So the when you approach the region, all other players that are too far away won't get that information until they approach the region themselves.
Mhm.
Which means radar users have a harder time because they would have to be in the same region as you. When you do the other thing where you like it's in a boss fight, I kill the boss and then the dice gets rolled what he drops, right? It's not necessarily like there isn't like he's gonna drop this, this is your raid ID, this is what he's gonna drop. It very often is like, oh, you managed to finally kill him, here's what he drops.
Right.
But that would have to be sent to you at that moment in time.
Right.
Which means your client has to process more. And I'm not sure how, if they then have to not update other clients. Like, they have to at least tell them that this object has been searched in order for them to see that it is open. right?
And not reroll loot or something.
Yes, but which also means like you could have a super mega lucky run. You open 10 jackets and you find 10 LEDX, as an example, because the dice has been rolled all the bloody time, you know.
Right. Yeah. True.
So
Hmm.
I made a video on loot spawn system.
Honestly, I'm with Finest on this one. I'm with Finest on this. So like, I guess my understanding or version that I formed in my head of dynamic loot is much closer to what Finest is saying than what you've explained. And what you've explained makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Yeah. So, why
Comes
can't
back
things
down
be
to
simple?
dynamic loot
cheaters
is something
being
we want.
problem.
We want dynamic loot.
Yeah.
Just for the purpose of, you see something appear on the horizon and it's a bloody helicopter crashing down, and you know, oh shit, that was a civil, or that was a military helicopter. Now I have to run there because, you know, the guys flying that are probably dead, and God knows what he had loaded, you know.
Yeah.
That is stuff you do want. You can't like make it like in PUBG. There's a crate drop, and because at the moment it would be like every cheater would know at this point. Like the server already told me there's going to be a crate drop at this location. I just go there and wait for the crate to drop, or the crate's already there, right? Because they don't drop it and don't want to have that in animation, which I can understand. So the crate's already there with a flare. So they already know I have to go there.
Is that how it was in PUBG? Cheaters would know where the crate was going to be?
I actually don't know about PUBG. I've not looked into that because I played it a long time and I enjoyed it, but I never was into... I never was as annoyed by the fact how... Because Tarkov, they take a lot from the community by cheating.
Right.
So that annoys me. So that is something I'm interested in, and how to actually fight it.
I gotcha.
I am, but, and I think you don't necessarily want that. I don't think you want LEDX being able to be spawned in jackets. I think what you want in Tarkov is these locked areas that are worth obtaining, like the key card, which makes it so interesting to have that. Which makes you, like back in the day when you had a 310 key, you're like, yay, I got a 310 key, you know?
Right.
That was something
50K
special.
on fleet now.
Yeah, right. But back then you would open that door and there could be a Bitcoin in there, which was something super special. By the way, Bitcoins back then still could spawn, already could spawn in duffel bags.
Yeah,
it's not like,
I remember that.
But the chance of getting a Bitcoin in 310 was way higher, way higher.
Isn't that how you would balance that too? Is you would still have locked rooms with good chances,
but
you could get those items other places too.
Yes, of course, but they devalued those places so much. It's not even really worth. Like, I can make more money farming the jackets on Shoreline than I can making by going resort very often.
Right.
Which makes no sense, even if I hit every single room. Right? I just need to find two factory keys and a checkpoint key, which spawn fairly often in the jackets. And I've already made my 500,000, so I don't know.
I've never envied BSG. I've always thought it would be an impossible task to try and balance these things out. I've never once envied their job to try and figure this stuff out.
You can't please everybody.
Yep.
In fact, again, we've always done a full circle here in terms of the two different perceptions of play style. I mean, there's nothing that stops you from playing this game like it's Call of Duty. Right? And there's nothing that stops you from playing it like it's a survival game. Like it's almost like DayZ, but without zombies and just,
Well, some of the scabs are like zombies.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I think, you know what? I think zombie mode in Tarkov would be so good.
That would be cool. Yeah,
it would be so
something
cool
to add in offline mode.
Yeah,
exactly. Like Dashing, you were saying earlier, just like scav waves coming at you, and you and your friends fight them off. I never thought
Exactly.
about it like that either, but that'd be a fun. That's the whole custom game aspect, is just being able to like do anything you want offline where it doesn't matter with your friends for
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
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 I agree.
Is there anything else, Dash? Is there anything else major? This is a really nice point to kind of just
No,
I
all
think.
I can say is 12/7. The only gun I'm running around with is a grenade launcher. And
In fact,
yeah,
it's not. You
I'm
know what?
collecting
Nikita
those
said that it's not
grenades
going to be very
already.
expensive.
Oh,
It's not going to be very expensive.
Yeah, but I'm
Ooh.
collecting those grenades already, dude. I'm gonna be ready.
I think everyone's gonna be running around with a couple of those. I know I'm gonna give it a good go and use them a lot. Do you think? So I don't know if it's already known. Are the grenades gonna explode on impact, or will they just shoot out a grenade that has a fuse timer?
We don't know yet.
We don't know.
No.
So I think exploding on impact could be troublesome for balancing. The fuse timer, I don't think it would be OP at all if it shot out a grenade that was just like you throwing a grenade, but it shot farther. I think
what
that'd
they're
be
probably
simple enough.
what they're probably going to do is bring out a range of grenades with this new handheld launcher. It'll probably be like
flashbangs,
smokes,
explosives.
yeah,
But
all of
dude,
that. Yeah, I
you
think-
just imagine you're like 500 meters out from resort and you're just bombarding the shit out of that. Or just on woods, lumberyard.
Five man,
Bombarding it, dude.
You have
five
your
mans. Each one
artillery
has
carrier.
It just
That's
and you
just
bring like
insane.
5 shells each, and you know that somebody's there, and everybody just whips out that grenade launcher. A factory's going to be terrible. I'd say.
It's gonna be a hot topic at the time.
It'll be interesting.
I'm waiting.
We got-
I'm waiting
we
for
got fun
claymores.
Fun times ahead.
Claymores, yeah. That one's kind of funny because you could theoretically never die to a claymore if you were always constantly aware of the fact that they exist, and every time you move throughout a location, you make sure to check the doorway. That's something a lot of people I think have trouble with because, like, ever since I can remember, camping, right? For me, every time I round a corner, I always immediately check the corners. Check every corner. You have to check every corner because it will save your life because people like to sit in corners. So I feel like I die to campers less because I'm always ready for them. I'm always expecting someone to be around this door or sitting in this bathroom. Always checking every single corner. So I think claymores might piss some people off, but it'll probably be relatively easy to not die to as long as you're just aware that it exists and are looking. And I guess that depends on how visible it is too.
That
Like-
and I promise you, people will find weird ways to apply them.
Oh yeah,
This is going to be so fucked up.
100%.
No doubt.
Like if it's a red laser like it was in old Call of Duty, that'd be really easy to spot.
yeah.
But if it's just like a thin black wire, I could see that being an issue. Yeah, that actually would be really difficult to get around. Yeah.
I can already see Sneaky like, you're not coming in here, my friend. Yeah.
I'm bringing a claymore to every single factory raid and planting it at the exit. As soon as it goes off, woo, it's time to go. It's time to collect.
New meta forming.
Oh,
It's gonna
God.
be terrible.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be absolutely terrible.
Sneaky, do we have anything else we need to discuss today?
I think we've done really well, and it's a nice point to kind of round it. I think for today we've spoken a lot about a lot of different.
I mean, we
things.
don't have finest every time, so.
This is very true. This is very true. Is there anything that you would like to say, Finest, that you would maybe like to discuss, bring up, related or unrelated to what we've discussed? It doesn't
I
matter.
mean, we invite you again if you want to talk more, of course,
I would absolutely be down to come back. This was a lot of fun. I guess when you say that, Sneaky, the first thing that pops into my head for some reason is to tell everyone, to remind everyone that the game is still in beta and they're constantly testing and changing things.
Yeah.
And so don't get too stuck on any one change that you may dislike.
Yeah.
Because they're testing everything out. So sometimes it's going to be really bad for a day, and then they'll tweak it if everyone generally agrees that it's not a very good change. So I don't know. Just remember to remember it's a beta, and don't stress over it too much. I guess that's what I would tell everyone.
You know, I used to, well, I wouldn't argue the point, but I would have a discussion with people about, beta. I would say that it's more of a concept, a playable concept, like a good, really good playable concept. It's not really a game. A beta kind of leads me to think that it's a game. Is it really a game? I guess, and on its, on the surface, sure, it's a game. It's got loose ends in terms of story and missions and whatever, an open ending, if you will. But I don't know. I definitely 100% agree. Don't get hung up on that kind of thing. It's
definitely not. It's an alpha.
All subject
it's an alpha,
to change,
but
yeah.
if you look up alpha in the Russian dictionary, it comes up with beta, so it's fine.
Beta.
That's funny.
Yeah, but it's true.
Very true.
Right.
Yeah.
Guys,
thank you.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Finest. Yeah, of course. It was lovely to have you on here. We'll definitely invite you again. Most likely slightly later when there's other things happening, whatever. Of course, we spoke again a lot about, and it was really nice to hear your perspective as well as getting to know you a little bit.
Of course,
we definitely look forward to having you here. Of course, Mr. Dashing Dot doesn't need introduction, but
so
anyway,
doesn't Sneaky
definitely
right?
not on definitely not on this podcast. And I'm just some fucking idiot.
Okay,
that does, I don't know.
Tomorrow is Friday because I'm uploading this late tonight, and tomorrow Sneaky Russians got drops, and Finest you have drops on
the 21st.
There you go. Get your LEDX
Last
there,
day.
not from the jackets.
Right, exactly. Yes, they told me all my drops will be LEDXs, so definitely come to my channel.
Red key cards of Sneaky LEDX of you. That's going to be awesome.
Yes, confirmed from Nikita. Not lying.
Definitely
I'm very serious right now.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Let us know in the comments what you want to talk about the next time, or if you want us to invite whomever. We're ready. And we'll see you in episode 5. Have a good one, guys.
Later. Bye-bye.
Bye.